My name is Julia Child. This is a child's custard. Only nursery stuff. But add cake, fruit, and nuts, and it becomes glamour pudding. Actually, my name is Steve, but I do like Julia Child. I only found out about her quite recently. She's been dead for years. She was an American TV cook, chef known as the French Chef. Check her out on YouTube. I can't get enough of her. And everyone's quite jealous of how much I watch her. At the end of her Dinner with Julia programme, she goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, dinner is served." So it's well worth a watch. Anyway, that's enough about Julia Child. This is a very special edition of these videos of the Vintage Keys Studio things, because this is coming live, well, not live, it was recorded from the workshop of me. This is where I keep all the wires and all the screws and the nuts and bolts and valves and all sorts of things. And people have a habit of giving me old rubbish. Usually broken old heaters and radios and keyboards and stuff, and I take them to pieces and then reuse them. This is my toolbox here. Today's video is going to be all about the rags to riches story of our very own Gwendoline, the 1956 Georges Genet Ondioline. Now, the Ondioline, or I should say Gwendoline, first came to me in 2015 from Paris. Well, this is basically how it started. You can see she's crying and she's got plugs and stuff all hanging out. She was in a terrible state. And that's me there on the right. And you can tell by my profile. Big shoes. And so she wasn't very well, so I, as you probably know, because you've probably watched the other videos, I did her up. Big shoes. Eventually. But as it went on, I had to get to know her a bit, so I took her out and I wined and dined her, as you can see in this illustration. I think that was when we started to fall in love with each other. And things got quite intense. As time went on, she got slightly better, but then slightly worse. It didn't really help at the time, as I've said many times before, because originally when I first did most of the work on this thing, I had this magazine here, which was published by the Société des Editions Radio Paris. It's an original one, that. And as you can see, it's all in French. And although I did do French jusque, I don't really read it. You know, the technical French is very difficult because it, you know, doesn't translate. I don't think it does anyway. So just as I'd finished my first sort of my first fixer-upper of this one, Wally from Forgotten Futures got in touch with me, and he sent me this, the Forgotten Futures of New York, the Ondioline. It's the modern day reprint English version. They actually also do an original reprint of the French version as well. But check them out. The link's down there. And so that was better. So that basically meant that I could go back to her and start just checking out that I'd done everything right. Because although all of the schematic drawings were the same as what was in there, a lot of the information that you need for there was all written in the text. And obviously with it being in French, it was very difficult to decipher. So now there's a lot more there that I've managed to, probably another 50% of information in the text that has helped me get it to this point. So over the next few years, after I had that English manual, I did some sort of quite intense surgery on Gwendoline, as you can see, and I got her working, and I made this thing. Well, basically, I took away her voice. I took away her speaker and her. Well, I didn't take the speaker out. I took away the amplifier part of it because there was a problem with it. All the output transformer was ruined, and various things were wrong with it. And at the time, I didn't have time to muck about with it, so I just built a very, very quick kind of shoddy little preamp thing, which did, I mean, it did work up to a point. It was based on a guitar tremolo pedal, actually, from the 60s, and it's got, I can't remember what, it's got those little transistors in it anyway. Are they BC 108s or something like that? BC something, so I'm rubbish at remembering the names. But as you can see, it's been put together by a sort of a chimpanzee. Anyway, that worked okay for a bit. But then, about a week ago, I had a message from somebody at the BBC saying, can we hire your Ondioline? And I was thinking, oh, crikey. So I realised I hadn't actually played the Ondioline, Gwendoline, for a good couple of months. She'd been in the studio, sort of all packed away. So I thought, oh yeah, that'd be fine. So I said yes, we'll do that definitely, because it was we found out it was for the BBC Proms, the Henry Mancini concert. It was on the 2nd of September. I thought, well, that'd be a great opportunity for Gwendoline to show, what she can do. So I dusted her off and got her down, and she was playing fine, and she sounded okay. And I put her in the car and brought her to the workshop just for a sort of a complete check, because obviously I needed to make sure she was safe and wasn't going to kill anyone. And somewhere on the way from the studio to the workshop, I think something went awry, as something may have come undone inside or something or other, that prompted a sort of a domino effect pain in the arse. Literally probably 48 hours before she was due to go to London, I had her in pieces all over the worktop for 14 hours trying to find out what the hell was going on, because there was a few capacitors that I put in that had come on slightly undone from about sort of 9 years ago, and that was my dodgy soldering, or possible just because she's been moved around quite a lot. And I put her back together, but she still made a hell of a humming sound. I thought, that's not going to be any good for broadcast. So I decided to completely start again with the power supply. So I remade the power supply almost exactly the same as the original one. So I stole a filter choke, which is a sort of an inductor that you put across you send the DC power through, and I got it off of this old L100 amplifier that came from the late Don Shin's dodgy L100 that he had, that I put in a different amp, and which actually worked. This didn't really work very well. Anyway, so it's useful having these old bits here. So I got the choke out of that and integrated that into the power supply, and plugged it all in again, and it was still a bit hummy. I thought, oh God. So I thought, well, there's nothing for it. I'm just going to have to take the main module out and just have a good look inside and just see if there's anything I can do with the wiring, because obviously you get all sorts of hum from bad wiring. Usually the wiring of the heater circuit, which is the 6.3 volt circuit, which is depending on how many valves you have in it, it can be quite a lot of amperage. and quite a lot of electricity flowing all over the place. They usually wind them up in, they've got 2 wires, and they usually twist them round to try to kind of eliminate, well, not eliminate, but reduce the amount of, what's the word, induction, whatever it is. I'm hopeless with technical things, that's why I'm in here doing this. And it basically, the sound of the AC current in the heater wires sort of leaks out all over the place, all over the audio. So that's basically what you have. So what I did is I took it all out. It originally had a load of dodgy plugs in. I replaced the bulb. In fact, it wasn't working at all, but the bulb was working okay. So I thought, well, at least I've done the bulb, so at least it looks okay. That bulb came from Stanley Unwin's tape recorder that I got, an old Ferrograph. So thank you, Stanley Unwin, a load. There used to be plugs up here, but now all I've done is I've just wired the HT, I think it's 280 volt line going up there. There's an earth line and also or ground, and there's also the heater line, which is 2 wires. So that's all going up there. There's a bit of excess wireage here because obviously it's quite, if I need to pull it out, I can actually physically pull it out. Before it was all so tightly wired that you couldn't get to it, and that would cause problems as well. So I've sorted that out. That's the choke that I nicked off of the Hammond amp. This is just a switch I just put there just for show. Looks quite nice. That's actually, eventually I will sort out the speaker and put the amplifier back. That's the next job. I might have that in a couple of weeks. And then we have like a new output jack there, because the old preamp used to be stuck on here. So anyway, yeah, so everything's been just basically rewired and wired in a sort of a more orderly fashion, because the original wiring was all over the place in this when I first got it, and it made me wonder if it was a kit built one or if it was a proper one. But anyway, that's beside the point. It now works like a treat. And we got asked, as I said, to go to the Royal Albert Hall, and we took Gwendolyn there on Monday. Up there, we got up there about 11:30. We got there, checked in, and put her on the stage and got her all ready. And she was absolutely ecstatic. She's grinning. The player was a man called Jeff Leach, very good keyboard player, and he had never seen one before. We'd seen them, but he'd never actually seen one in the flesh before, and he'd never played on one. So I could see he was a little bit nervous, because he was obviously having to perform this live that day and that evening, and it's broadcast, and it's on a completely new sort of instrument, because it's not just like playing a keyboard. There's all sorts of different things you've got to think about when you play it. For a start, you've got the knee lever thing. Let's just give it a bit of a blast. This is it. You can sort of hear it there. Hopefully it will be coming out through this microphone, because we haven't got any others in here. It's quite loud now, and it has got a tiny bit of hum if you put it up right really loud. But even when that's really loud like that, it's still hard. There's hardly any sound until you do that, and then. can hear well, for a start, it's not very easy playing it when it's up on a bench, but you can hear it's. So it's playing rather nicely now, and as you could hear there, I did the bendy on there. In the piece that they played in the Proms was called Whatchamacallit by Esquivel. For copyright and etc. reasons, we can't obviously show you any of the footage of it. Although you can, if you have access to BBC Sounds, you can currently, as of September 2024, listen to and download the whole concert, which is all amazing. Henry Mancini and Bacharach and Herb Alpert music, and Les Baxter as well, which I couldn't believe they had some Les Baxter going on there. Make sure you've got a TV license though. They did film it while we were there. There were loads of cameras all flying around all over the place, so I'm hoping that they'll show the concert at some point, or hopefully maybe put out a bit of some of the Ondioline as well, because that was quite a feature. All of the orchestra members, I was quite surprised that nobody had ever seen one before, and most people had never heard of it. And I always sort of vaguely known about these for a good 25 years, but surprising how people see it and they've just got no idea what it is. It's a bit like when they see me, they've got no idea who I am. Although that's actually not so true, because somebody did recognise me the other day in an Oxfam shop. The final illustration in our I was going to say triptych, but it's not. It's 4. Well, it's nice to be able to think that I received Gwendoline in a really terrible state of repair from a very generous person called Michel, who's, in fact, I've got his original envelope. He sent me the thing in. Says, "Hi Steve, many thanks for your purchase. Hope you'll enjoy this vintage Ondioline. Regards, Michel." And he was a nice guy. And at the time, I didn't really have loads of experience on repairing vintage gear. I'd done a little bit. I'd done some Hammond organ stuff. But this was, I think this has probably been the thing that's enabled me to learn as I've gone along. So it's rather nice that I've spent 9 years with this, and it's culminated in her appearing at the Royal Albert Hall. So I'm very, very proud of her. I couldn't have done it without her. And yes, I don't think she loves me anymore now, though. I think this fame's gone to her head, as can be seen from this picture. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this brief visit to the workshop of Doom, and I will be back in the studio, I'm thinking probably next week, to do a fun thing. Don't know what it is yet, but it'll be something fun. Okay. I shall just play a little now, just to sign us off. I should say, I've still got some design alterations I've had for this, which I'm going to implement soon, hopefully. The main one being the progressive attack controller, which I originally took out of here because it was a bit dodgy, being all asbestosy and asparagusy as well. And so it currently hasn't really got anything in there doing anything. It's just connected, but it needs something in there to sort of react to the pressure of the key. So I've had a few ideas for that, so I'm going to try those out. I'm also going to try some gain makeup for some of the switches, because obviously when you when you press all those down, it loses all the, you can't hear it. And you can if you turn it up. So yes, needs still a bit of work. It's an ongoing thing, I think. And there's something else I was going to do. Oh, the amplifier. Going to do the amplifier. Oh, and I've had an idea about doing something with an optical volume control, like in an Opticon, with a piece of acetate and a bulb and an LDR, light dependent resistor. Anyway, that's another video in a few months. So this is me, Julia Child, signing off with Gwendoline, the rather spoilt but very, very much loved Ondioline. I know.